13 camshaft sensor failure signs you can't ignore. They mainly indicate a problem with the part, which, if not operational, causes the ECM to lose proper control of engine electronic systems. In this video, we will discuss the 13 signs that indicate a failing camshaft sensor in your vehicle. From rough idling to engine misfires, it's crucial not to ignore these symptoms to prevent further damage and costly repairs. Watch till the end to learn how to recognize if your camshaft sensor is failing and how to address the issue before it escalates. Don't overlook these camshaft sensor failure signs in your car. Stay informed, stay safe, and keep your vehicle running smoothly by being aware of these crucial warning signs. The ECM engine control module relies on various sensors to control engine operation. One of them is the camshaft sensor, abbreviated as CMP. This part provides the ECM with cam position and speed, enabling it to regulate combustion. As such, its failure can affect the car's performance in many ways, exhibiting cam sensor symptoms. They include: 1. Check engine light illuminates. When your camshaft position sensor is faulty or starts having issues, the first thing you should notice is that your check engine light comes on in your dashboard. Obviously, the check engine light could indicate a variety of problems and not necessarily a bad camshaft position sensor. In this case, you should either use an OBD2 scan tool to retrieve the stored diagnostic trouble code S in your car, or have a professional mechanic perform an inspection of the vehicle's engine control module to see what is going on. They too will scan this module in order to receive a series of error codes which will indicate to them what the real problem is. Please do not ignore or postpone scanning your vehicle or getting it inspected when your check engine light turns on, or else your engine could end up getting seriously damaged. The engine could even end up failing altogether, which means you'd end up having to either rebuild or replace your engine. 2. Engine failing to start. When you are experiencing a crank, no start situation with your car, there are loads of factors that can be responsible for such scenarios, such as no gas, blown fuse, blown head gasket, bad crankshaft position sensor, bad fuel pump, and many more. However, when most of these external factors have been duly checked and validated to be working up to specs, you may be dealing with a faulty camshaft position sensor. You will need a O-level, standard scan tool to scan your PCM or Engine Electronics Management 4, DTC codes related to defective camshaft position sensor. This may not be applicable to most European car models, but Asian models to be specific. The car fails to start even with the starting system working correctly. The problem happens when the CMP cannot feed the ECM with camshaft position information, resulting in fuel injection and sparking issues. A simple replacement of this sensor with a new OEM one will get your car back on the road in no time. 3. Vehicle stalling. In the worst of situations, your car may stall. Stalling indicates the fuel injectors are not delivering fuel as they should, with the possibility of the sensor being the cause. This problem can be dangerous, and a proper diagnosis is required. 4. Erratic idle. When a vehicle's camshaft position sensor first begins to fail, one might notice that the engine idles in an erratic fashion. This stems from the relative inaccuracy of any signal data being presented to the vehicle's ECM/PCM. 5. Hesitation/loss of power. As a vehicle's camshaft position sensor begins to fail, one might also notice that the engine seems to be low on power, acts as if it hesitates under load, or even lurches or jerks under acceleration. This occurs when inaccurate or insufficient feedback is supplied to an engine's ECM/PCM. The engine power reduces, and you have difficulty accelerating. It's one of the most probable camshaft position sensor symptoms you should not overlook. In addition to causing a drop in your engine's performance, it could cause it to get damaged. 6. Engine runs rough and misfires. An erratic CMP sensor can cause the PCM to miscalculate fuel, injector pulse, and spark timing, resulting in an engine that runs rough and misfires. As the driver, you'll likely interpret the misfire as a subtle shaking or stumble that may intensify when the vehicle is under load. If not corrected, the misfire can cause damage to other parts of the vehicle, such as the catalytic converter. 7. Bad fuel mileage. This is the opposite of not delivering enough fuel to the engine. In this case, because of an inaccurate reading from a bad camshaft position sensor, will stimulate the ECM to send more fuel than necessary into the engine, which causes your fuel economy to drop drastically. 8. Shifting problems in automatic transmission system. A bad cam sensing device affects the transmission. The engine control module does not receive correct cam speed and position data, which affects its ability to control ignition and combustion. That, in turn, causes shifting problems. Your car may also go into limp mode to prevent further damage. 9. Smell of fuel. There is the smell of unburned fuel. This symptom shows an incomplete combustion process, leading to some fuel mixture reaching the existing pipe. But while this is one of the cam sensor fault symptoms to look out for, it's good to note that other things can cause it. 10. Failed emissions test. With the fuel injection and ignition systems not working correctly, the engine becomes less efficient, increasing the amount of emissions. As a result, failing the emission test is one of the most common symptoms to look out for. 11. Car jerking or surging. If you are driving your vehicle and the camshaft position sensor starts failing, the engine will at times simply lose power and cause your car to jerk or randomly surge forward. These are both a result of an improper amount of fuel being injected into the cylinders, since the PCM is getting incorrect information from the camshaft position sensor. 12. Hard starting end. When the CKP sensor is on the fritz, it may produce a weak or erratic signal rather than failing completely, which can disrupt the signal between the sensor and the ECM. As a result, the vehicle may exhibit hard starting due to improper spark and injection pulse. 13. Vehicle shuts down intermittently and start back up. When you are driving towards a certain destination and your car suddenly shuts down, there are several factors that can be responsible for that. Attributes such as bad fuel pump, no gas, blown fuse, or a bad camshaft position sensor. However, it's patent to investigate properly with your car suddenly died on the road, then start back up. If you find error code related to camshaft position sensor being defective, replacement of this component will be the best solution to fix this issue. What causes the sensor to fail? A vehicle's camshaft position sensor can go bad for a number of reasons. One of the most prominent of these reasons is exposure to prolonged periods of extreme heat. This explains the higher than normal occurrence of camshaft position sensor failure directly following instances of engine overheating. Contamination from oil, coolant, or other chemicals can also be responsible for premature fatigue and failure. This contamination can find its way into a sensor's wiring receptacle, or alternatively, onto any related wiring itself. In turn, this can cause the breakdown of the insulation material that protects the circuit's wiring. Occasionally, this sensor might also become damaged due to impact from roadway debris. This tends to be more common with timing cover-mounted camshaft position sensors, which can be struck by debris, if not protected by a suitable undercover. What happens when a camshaft sensor goes bad? A failing CMP sensor cannot send correct cam data to the ECM. As a result, the engine suffers. The combustion process becomes inefficient, leading to problems like reduced power, misfire, and increased emissions. Several things can cause the CMP to fail. Given its location, it gets subjected to harsh conditions like heat, vibrations, and sometimes metallic debris. That can take a toll on it, causing it to fail over time. The CEPS also fails if its electrical connections are faulty due to corrosion or breakage. Regardless of the cause of failure, you must quickly act if you notice any symptoms. With no proper engine control, your car could become dangerous to drive. Its failure also causes issues that could quickly damage engine components. In some vehicles, failure may cause the car to enter limp mode and prevent further damage. How to replace camshaft sensor. The CEPS is not repairable. You can only replace it with a new one. It's also a relatively inexpensive part and won't cost much compared to the problems it causes. Here is how to replace one. Step 1. Park safely on flat ground, turn the car off, and use the parking brake. Disconnect the battery's negative terminal. Step 2. Determine the part's location. It's mounted in the cylinder head on most cars, close to the camshaft. Refer to your car's manual if unsure. Step 3. Remove any components that may be obstructing your access to it, such as wires or the air intake parts. Step 3. Unplug the wiring connector or harness. Now, remove the faulty CMP. 1 or 2 bolts or screws typically hold it. Installation. Step 4. Place the new CMP on the mounting surface. Ensure its proper alignment. Secure it with the fasteners you had earlier removed. Use the correct torque to avoid causing damage. Step 5. Reattach the connector and reconnect the battery. Start the car to see if it cranks and runs smoothly. The earlier camshaft sensor symptoms should not return. If they do, the problem is elsewhere. Step 6. Clear the old fault codes using the scanner or code reader. You may also want to check if there are any other codes. Ensure all electrical connections are in good condition and working, no breakage, dirt, corrosion, or looseness. Is it safe to drive with a bad camshaft position sensor? Based on the discussed camshaft sensor symptoms, you may suspect yours to be failing and wondering if you can still use the vehicle. So, can you drive with a bad CMP? If so, for how long? We do not recommend operating your car if the ECU cannot sense the position of the cam and its speed. In addition to risking engine damage, your vehicle could stall due to a disruption of the combustion process. The best advice is to change the part as soon as you can. CMP replacement should cost you between $100 and $150 in labor charges. The part itself goes for less than $50. Conclusion: a failing CMP can cause your engine to malfunction or even get damaged. Your car loses power, misfires, and may even stall while driving. The symptoms explained in this article should help you tell when it starts to fail.